The Demon Makers. This video is a little different because it doesn't focus on modern women. It focuses on the opposite spectrum. There's a common belief that uh, men occupy in the dating market. The average woman, so like roughly 80% of women, are attracted to roughly 20% of men. Some people argue it's more like 95-15 or like 90-10. However, the distribution lies. The men who make up the top percentages, you you can kind of find some commonalities in their personality traits. Uh, one of those, or one of those, being Machiavellianism. Uh, the dark triad traits that men have give them an edge over the common man who has more empathic traits and traits that are less associated with psychopathy, sociopathy, Machiavellianism, narcissism, and such. The demon makers are men who they don't feel empathy towards women, and so women, their control over these men is very limited, and this lack of control is extremely attractive to women because they see it as a kind of like you would see with a person who's trying to, they're trying to conquer the stallion, right? With a normal horse, is that you put the gear on them and they'll do whatever. It's like, okay, it's not a big deal, but people, they seem to revere things that are hard, which is, it's natural. It's only natural, but what the women are revering in this case is that the man is difficult to control, and they want to be the ones to control or tame the man. But the man is he's he doesn't really have remorse. He's a bad person. He's a morally bankrupt person. But the woman sees that as an opportunity to attempt to instill a moral compass in a man. It also makes her feel morally superior as well. So she feels as though she's making a person better, uh, which is it's an important aspect because a lot of the men who are already nice and who are already kind, it it could actually make the women feel like bad people, and that could be part of why they don't want to date those men. Also, they're not really a challenge in terms of like control. The women already know that they could have the man wrapped around her finger, which is why she doesn't want to deal with that man. Among other reasons. So the demon makers, they they have so much choice in women because they're like lights. You know, the lights you hang out, and the you have mosquitoes and such that'll fly right into the lights. Um, or you'll have like the moths that'll fly right into the flame. You know the saying, the moth to the flame. Women, uh, these men. Let me focus on the male aspect of this, since it is talking about demon makers. Demon makers are men that they don't show remorse, and they're very quick to let women go. They don't really have any emotional attachments, and also their energy is very dark. But the darkness comes from the it comes from the thoughts that they're thinking. They're always trying to plot and scheme against other people, and they're always getting themselves involved in situations that could lead them to either prison or situations where their lives will be in ruin. Uh, their lives are very chaotic, and so the energy that they have is possibly quite chaotic compared to the average man. This energy, and some people have argued that this energy is a very satanic energy, a dark energy. You get that's very alluring for women. You get women, a lot of the viewers of content, like on Netflix, the true crime shows with serial killers. Women are very much into learning about these individuals, but it's not because they're actually interested into the inner workings and the logical aspects of it. I would argue it's because they're dealing with they get to see an individual who is oriented in chaos, an individual who's oriented in the same energy as them, but who's also in a dark energy, which is extremely attractive to women, the average woman. It's very alluring, and I think these shows kind of uh, it touches that nerve that they have. I keep running into women who like, they like scary movies and they like crime shows, but the crime shows they like, the reason why they like it, you would think it's because of the logical steps of solving a crime, but I don't believe this is the case. I think it's the unknown, which is inherent in uh, and criminal cases and things like that. But then you also have the chaotic, dark aspect of it, which is fascinating to me. Um, Demon makers make women walk on eggshells. They make them insecure, and insecure women tend to. When women are insecure, they're at their most. They're at their most supportive. Supportive. They're at their most. Oftentimes, they're at their most submissive. They tend to treat men better when they're insecure about the man and how he feels about her. Uh, Now this changes obviously when the man gives away this element and he says, "Hey, I want to commit to you," and he marries her. Then when she feels secure, then she doesn't really treat the man with as much regard. She doesn't respect him as much, and she doesn't give him as much intimacy and things like that, which is also the allure for the demon makers. Demon makers know how to pull women's strings, and they do it consciously. The average man doesn't really pull women's string consciously. Um, some men do. I guess the modern man is starting to learn about the nature of women, but the demon makers oftentimes will do terrible things to women, and I won't say as far as like the those kind of things. I guess it's possible, but they're very unpredictable because their minds are. These men are disturbed mentally, and they're not mentally stable. They're very emotionally unstable, but this emotional instability ends up appearing to be extremely attractive. Uh, it comes off as extremely attractive, and the drama that it creates in a woman's life is extremely intoxicating. And the dopamine hit that they get from dealing with these men brings them back for more and more and more. So with this, demon makers kind of have an edge over the common man because they literally don't care about the woman, and this allows them to be more attractive to the woman. It creates a nonchalance. It gives them an air of mystery. It gives them. There's a lot of things that allows them to be. It allows them to be more seductive just by the nature of their personality traits. I think part of seduction is in the personality traits. You can tell, in my opinion, the affinity of a person to be able to seduce a person based off of the type of personality traits they have. And demon makers, their personality traits line up with what would allow someone to be a natural when it comes to seduction. Yeah, and a lot of demon makers end up giving women an extreme amount of trauma, ruining their ability to pair bond with men. And it's funny because they represent the top, 20% of men, but they end up becoming a mental representation of what women see as the common man's uh, ability to empathize and to deal with her. So a lot of women make the mistake of thinking that the average man is like the demon maker, but the demon maker essentially messes it up for the common man um, by creating this mental map of how men are in the average woman's mind. And when the average man runs into said woman, then the interesting thing is he has to compete with the trauma. He has to deal with the trauma. He has to compete with the amount of thrills that were given to the woman by the crazy men. But yeah, demon makers.